I couldn't find it. Yo, what's popping? All my peeps. It is I, your host of the most Renaissance man, who always thinks he can, and your champion of the peeps, Patty Pitts, back once again in the Yard Streams for another edition of the Raw Rewind, brought to you by Pitts and Sara's Wrestling Show, where we take no nights off. And it's not just me, Patty P, here in the Yard of Streams. I am joined, as always, by the best of the West you can't forget about, Sara Marshall. What's popping, girl?
Hey, yo.
Hello.
Go fuck yourself.
That was really rude.
No, I just wanted to, I played that not to say that to you, but I wanted to show that to you because Cody telling The Rock.
I'm so obsessed with that clip. Like, I can't stop watching.
Go fuck yourself.
Like,
it's
man,
so good. It's so good.
I was thinking about it. Like, first of all, you know, iconic that he said that. Okay, the thing that I think is the best part of that entire moment is when we were talking about the move to Netflix and how, you know, there's a little bit more looseness for language. They haven't really taken advantage of that yet, which I think is fine, because I think with certain words, you don't want to overdo it.
Yeah, like how AEW uses shit way too much.
Yeah, or like bitch. It's like, okay,
they use bitch and shit so much. It's insane.
But when we were thinking like, okay, they can drop an F-bomb and it won't be a problem. One of the last people that I ever would have predicted to drop the F-bomb in general, but especially the first one, I never would have guessed it to be Cody at all.
I would not. He would not have been on my Family Feud board.
No.
At all. And the crazy thing about the whole thing is the move to Netflix was supposed to be that shift. And we saw it on Peacock, of all places. And then when they replayed it on Netflix, they bleeped it out.
It's well, and you know what? It's crazy is WWE social teams were posting it and it was not censored,
as it shouldn't be.
So that's why it's like
it should be.
It's crazy.
It's one of those things where it means so much, and this is something that I learned from Mr. my Hollywood brother, when he was pitching shows to Netflix and just other streaming services, is that the leniency for certain words and like nude scenes was totally in their court, like ball was in their court, but it had to make sense. You couldn't just have like a random sex scene.
And there are people who will do that, where it's like you're just having this random moment for no reason. It's just because you can.
Exactly. And to me, this GFY that Cody says to The Rock like meant something. When I was laying in my bed watching this, like my jaw dropped.
I know.
Like my girlfriend sitting next to me, and she's like laughing at me, and she's making her own comments because she has no idea what is going on, obviously. But it's like, oh, and like I'm speechless. You know me, I'm not one to be speechless a lot, and this entire segment left me speechless.
Yeah,
and it still does, to the point where before we hopped in here or hit live, we debated, is this heel turn the greatest of all time in WWE? It has to be. There's no other heel turn, in my opinion, that has the impact it made, not only just the business entire and the landscape, all that, but the ripple effect it has with the locker room. To have the heel turn be mentioned in basically almost every segment, a wrestler made a reference to it. That's when you know it's a big deal, and you know how high of a pedestal John Cena is on in WWE.
And what's I don't know. I think I was talking about this earlier with a friend, and we were talking about how, you know, no one thought that this was going to happen. And I think that's partially why It was so shocking because even
Mhm.
when we were talking about our predictions, and I think most people, when they were predicting the show, they excluded this from a possibility. Like we didn't even really entertain the idea when we were breaking down, okay, who's going to win, and if the winner does join The Rock, who would that be? And it was like, we're not talking about John Cena. Like there were people saying, oh, it could be Cena, it would be fun, blah blah blah, and it's like, no, they've had opportunities to make him a heel in the past. They're
He
definitely not
said
going to
on
do it.
CVV. He said on CVV that it wasn't in the cards because of merch and whatnot. Like,
Mm,
that's what's mind-boggling to me, is
yeah.
that was the red herring of all things when it came from the horse's mouth. That's the red herring out of
Yeah.
every. It's crazy.
Well, but the thing that I think makes the timing that much better is because nobody was anticipating it. Whereas if they had done it, when he said that they were talking about it in 2012, it wouldn't have been the same at all because there were so many people who were anti Cena. I mean, that's the whole, that was when it was starting the let's go Cena sucks. It's like him turning heel at that point would have been cheered. It would not have gotten the reaction that they want. And so this happening now and going against Cody, like this was the time to do it, even though, we didn't think that would be happening at all.
I didn't think it was in the cards. I didn't think it was in the cards at all. But
Mhm.
as I say on here a lot, I like being wrong when it comes to wrestling because that means that they are doing their job
Mhm.
and making giving me it's a surprise.
Mhm.
I'm not I don't want to predict it. The last thing we need to be doing is predicting shit and being like, yeah, it's gonna happen, boom, right
Yeah.
on the money. We
Yeah.
had years and years of that.
Yeah.
So it's nice to not have that anymore. But you know what?
Agreed.
It's also nice. It's also nice having peeps in the chat. We have a lot of peeps in the chat. Sophia's here asking if when we started this, and we said this before, like 3 years ago,
2,
which
I think,
two,
or 3. Yeah, I don't remember. I would have to look. We just talked about it, but I don't remember now.
yeah, it was right after Cody Rhodes came back. I
Yeah,
remember
so
that.
then it's been 2 years then,
Yeah,
because
it was right
2
after.
years on YouTube.
2 years on YouTube because that's when we were doing right after. Like that was lead up to 39 is when
Yeah.
we started on YouTube, but 38 we were just doing the podcast version.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so Nathaniel was popping. Lakers will win every game in the playoffs. Okay, sure. I'd love to see Cena wear his Peacemaker costume and Rock wears his Black Adam costume. And
Interesting.
you can wear your Dwayne Johnson. You can cosplay as
Oh,
Black
okay.
Sarah.
Okay.
You would like to see me. Would you like to see Cope and Cage win titles later in 2025? Christian, yes. Cope, no. I want the payoff, and I'm not saying soon. Like I want this to be AEW's long game because it's there.
Mm-hmm.
I want the Death Riders to fall to Darby Allin. In my opinion, Darby Allin is the true heart and soul of AEW. So that's the man who should be taking down the Death Riders. What's more of a kick in the balls than after he is celebrating, the confetti has came down, and you just hear, or not even hear the music. Christian just slithers in the ring, hits a low blow or something, either a low blow or he takes the contract and hits him,
Mm-hmm.
and then cashes in AEW's Money in the Bank and the end of whatever pay per view that is. Maybe it's all in. I don't know. I'm not in creative. You have Christian Cage holding the AEW World Championship. That would be awesome. That is how you book that correctly. I should probably do that. That's probably that's a good video idea. Jay says they need to not have champion matches with people you don't even care to show the entrance of it makes oblivious who will win or
I
obvious
don't
who
think
will.
so. I don't think
I
so
don't either.
because they didn't show EOS last night. And most people assumed that meant that she had no chance of winning even more. I
Mm-hmm.
generally think that too. I don't equate to like a jobber entrance meaning that
I don't
that they're
either.
going to win,
None of that really is something that we see a lot. anymore,
Mm-hmm.
especially in the Triple H era. I want to see this a lot though. I want to see AJ Brown in a Patriots uniform. All right, I already did it in my video game. I have a pretty good record, Sarah, in all honesty, of people that I took and made Patriots
Mm-hmm.
have been Patriots in some way, shape, or form. I have a very good record of that. Final boss, what's up? David, what's up? Love that we're greeting each other in the chat too. Jay's here on YouTube as well. Dylan is here.
Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to click anything. Sorry.
Dylan is here. Tom the man. Yes, we did see the rumor floating around that Travis Scott may have blown out Cody Rhodes' eardrum and gave him a black eye. Just remember who's reporting that. All right, it
Also,
wasn't our boy SRS. So
thanks for the follow on TikTok.
that's huge.
Yeah.
We'll definitely thank you for that. That's
Mhm.
awesome.
Also, for all the haters that are in the comments, please feel free to get a life and watch something else. Thank you. Because I've already had to ban 2 people.
Who? Oh, I didn't see them.
Yeah, one person. There's a girl that comes in here, or at least it's.
Oh, it's her.
No,
Oh,
and
she
then
was
there was
already in here.
Yeah, and then this other guy said something about me, and he's already banned. So,
all right. Yeah, we'll get to all the Dylan's talking about a potential triple threat at Mania.
mm-hmm.
The Rock is no. I don't know what that means. David.
I don't know.
I unfortunately don't know. But what I do know is that Raw post Elimination Chamber fucking delivered, Sarah, and it seems that the excitement for WrestleMania has gone sky high.
Mm-hmm.
It is at the most it's been since the Royal Rumble.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it gives people are excited for it now and are actually getting excited for the potential matches that are taking place, which makes my heart warm. I'll tell you, we only have like 40 something days left.
Yeah, 45 or something.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Yeah. So I would say that the show started off pretty strong. Also, we got another entrance of CM Punk showing up in some sort of vehicle and walking.
It was a Jeep Grand Cherokee.
Was it? It looked like it was a truck, like a pickup. I don't know.
No, it was a Jeep.
Anyway, and he was serious business. That's basically what this whole thing was. He decides to get up on the announcer's desk and just completely go off. And I don't want to say that it's necessarily similar to the infamous pipe bomb, but I would say that this was probably the best that we've heard from Punk since he came back to WWE. And that's not shaming anything that he's done, but it's always when he's passionately angry that he seems to like do his best promos. And this was targeted at basically everybody. He targeted The Rock, he targeted John Cena, he targeted Seth Rollins. No one was off limits, and he definitely set the tone for what you think is going to be happening with him for WrestleMania. And I don't know, I was like sitting there shaking my head and agreeing with a lot of the things that he was saying, and I felt like there was a lot of history there, because we have to remember The Rock took his main event at WrestleMania over 10 years ago, so there is like legitimate beef or a grudge, even if he's like moved past it and him and Rock have like been cool. I don't know. It's still going to be deep down in there, you know?
Oh, it's rooted. It's deep rooted.
Oh, yeah. And especially when you can kind of frame what happened this year in almost the same light because of how he made sure that Cena was the guy and Cena took out Punk. I don't know. This is really fascinating. And I caught myself cheering for him, which is like quite a big deal.
I did. I was watching this. I was watching it, and I'm like, Sarah's definitely a fan of The Rock now. I mean, I'm CM Punk now. She like say she is. Yeah, like you're agreeing with CM Punk. What a world we live in. It was incredible. Anytime Punk gets on the mic and speaks passionately, it's awesome. Especially what he was saying and the references he was making about, you're gonna make a wish that I didn't,
Yeah, like basically
make.
they didn't mess with him.
Yeah, you're gonna make a wish that I didn't put you in a wheelchair or something.
Mm-hmm.
And then going right after Seth Rollins and calling out Becky Lynch, saying, "Get your man, because if you don't, I'm gonna put my hands on him and put him in a wheelchair." Just that type of energy and anger that
Mm-hmm.
gets you excited for a match between them. And
Mm-hmm.
everyone's thinking WrestleMania. Everyone thought it was WrestleMania, but they just keep fighting. They fought last night.
I know, and so I'm so conflicted because I feel the brawl between them was so good because you knew, like, it doesn't matter who you're a fan of, and a lot of people are a fan of both of them. You can understand their individual frustration. And so it's like for a lot of people it's like I don't know who to cheer for. Like I get why Punk is pissed. I get why Seth is pissed. I get why they hate each other, you know? So um I was excited about that because after Elimination Chamber, we even talked about it. Their futures for Mania was unclear. We were like, okay,
There
there are
were.
a lot of big names that don't have something locked down, and they're not going to leave people like Punk or Rollins off the card. So this seemed to be like, okay, here we go. We're finally getting the match that should have been only done at Mania. And then they let us know, by the way, oh, your TV, by the way.
Oh, I didn't shut it off. That's right.
So they said, by the way, after Seth was begging and pleading with Adam Pearce, that he and Punk will be in a match next week at Madison Square Garden. And after what we saw and everything that came out of the Elimination Chamber, you're like, okay, cool. Like they don't want us to wait that long. We're gonna get it now. And I'm like, this match should not happen or just like end abruptly, because I don't want you to ruin another potential like WrestleMania quality match on an episode of Raw. I'm not
It's not
behind it. I'm
any.
not into it.
It's not any old episode of Raw. It's being
know.
done because they're at Madison Square Garden.
Mhm.
They need a big match like that for that Raw. And to me, it's very reminiscent of WrestleMania 2000
Mhm.
when they legitimately had the main event of WrestleMania be the main event of a Raw like 2 weeks before the show itself. And the
Mhm.
whole point of it was that it could end in chaos and DQ, whatever. And it was Linda McMahon inserting Mick Foley into the match. What I see with this is that these two beat the other, living shit out of each other. And then you have Roman Reigns music hit at the most random time. And
Mhm.
he comes in and costs Seth the match. Punk gets the win. And everyone's going to go on, the IWC is going to go online and be like, that's the favor. He called in the favor. No, it's not. It's Roman getting his revenge on Seth. Now you
Yeah.
have three people who have three separate issues with each other that are big name guys. That's your mania match.
It has to
Like,
be.
and to be honest, I don't care that I predicted that. I'm fine with it. I just want to
No.
see it happen.
Yeah, like I don't love it just because I feel like when we had talked about other hypothetical matches for them, like I kind of like some of those ideas better than this triple threat. But I think if they tried to do anything else, it would be forced. Like this just kind of makes sense. If anything, Roman getting into this feels more like, oh, what is going on? Just because he hasn't been around since the Rumble and he wasn't at Elimination Chamber, so it's like you kind of have already forgotten. Like, oh wait, what happened at the Rumble and what did this? So they'll have to do something with that, and that Roman's not going to miss Mania unless he was legitimately injured, and we know that he's not legitimately injured. So
Yeah,
I think that, and that I would say, right, Punk talking about how, oh, you took away my main event. I think there is going to be a lot more competition for the night one main event, because
there was a lot. There's We got our own little.
This is going to be
competition.
like, I think it was what, 39? Yes, it was WrestleMania 39 was
39.
just a couple years ago when everybody was arguing about the three matches that could headline, that could main event night one. It feels like that's what's going to happen again this year, because this is a main event. This is a WrestleMania main event simply because of who's in it and the history between them. But you could argue that the women's world title match could also be the main event. And then who knows what other matches might come up between now and then that could also be the night one main event. So Punk might finally get that dream of main eventing WrestleMania. It just won't be for the title, which I know that's kind of more of what he wants, but that's not happening.
He's good. No, to me that will happen. We'll see CM Punk hoist the WWE Championship one more time before he retires, and I think it would be like his swan song right off in the sunset, and then have a whole ceremony and whatnot the night after WrestleMania, and that's when he takes a more backstage role. That's the perfect ending, but nothing's perfect in life or the WWE. Jackson has this, and I'm not really focused on the question of Seth losing back-to-back to Punk. That I don't really care about that. It's this, that Roman accidentally costing CM Punk the match.
It could also
me because he cost him the Royal Rumble accidentally, and then he could cost him this match accidentally. And then you have Punk saying, I helped you out in War Games, and this is how you're repaying me. That's another little issue that they have between the three of them.
Yeah, I don't know. It could also end in a DQ from Roman.
It's in a steel cage.
Oh, that's right. Well, he could still get in. Are we stop it? People get into Hell in a Cell. Okay, this is wrestling. They'll just leave the door open.
People get into the Elimination Chamber.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Like, he'll bring
wrestling.
What are those, like, clippers, and like open it. Like, that's what I mean. Like, that'll happen if he really wants to get in there.
Or Tribal Chief to use his strength. Mark Henry style.
Or he climbs it and just like power bombs himself into the cage through the
I would
roof.
love to see Roman Reigns climb up the cage and just hop in like it's nobody's business.
Hey y'all. Yeah, that would be funny.
Hop in Black Panther style. That'd be sick.
I wanted to Dylan was asking who I would root for first, Jay or Damian. Because I've cheered for Damian before, I might have to say Damian.
Damian Priest.
Yeah.
That's been said on the show.
Yeah, I think I would have to do that.
All rise for the punishment.
Anyway. So then we move on to Gunther, who was actually wrestling, which was really exciting. Because they've not really done a whole lot with him since he became World Heavyweight Champion. So that was really cool. And of course, he was facing Otis. And I have a lot to say. But you know what? I want to open a broader conversation. Because we can talk about this. I can nitpick about why I hated this and why I thought it was stupid. Okay.
Yeah, we did that last night.
Yeah, and I would just basically be regurgitating the same thing. So, but this had me thinking, because I understand I'm biased. And I know that I've been complaining about what has been going on with Gunther, but I would say there is a fair argument to be made that the way that they're building up this match between Gunther and Jay is not doing anything for either of them. And you might be shocked to hear me say that, because like I'm kind of defending Jay in a way, but I'm going to steal your phrase. Hear me out. Okay. So the reason I was thinking about this, so the main thing between this, or I don't know what word I'm looking for. The main thing of this rivalry between them is supposed to be that Jay is an underdog. No one believes in him. No one thinks that he can beat Gunther. He's never going to be World Heavyweight Champion, blah, blah, blah. I don't think that they're proving that. I don't think they're doing enough to like solidify in our brain that he is the underdog. Like when you look at this match on paper, anybody is going to be an underdog against Gunther. Like everybody is going to be that, unless you're talking about, he goes against
The
somebody
bigger
that's
name
of
guys.
equal size, or we're talking about like Brock Lesnar or something
Yeah,
like that.
Brock
Like,
or even Seth Rollins.
I mean, you might
Seriously.
question, yeah. So that's what I mean. It's like everybody's going to be considered an underdog because Gunther is literally known for being like the best male wrestler in WWE. Like that is just like his gimmick, basically. So I feel like they're not doing a very good job at making us believe that Jay is the underdog. I feel like we might not see dude wrestle until Mania, and I don't think that that's a good idea. If they want to hammer home that he is the underdog, that he has no shot at beating Gunther, having him not wrestle isn't doing that. Having Gunther go out and wrestle, even if he's wrestling Tozawa and Otis, right? Like nobody that you're like comparing really to Jay, that's not helping. Put Jay out there and have Jay lose. That I feel like is what, like, if he's like getting beat down, and I'm not saying he needs to get like beaten down. I'm just saying, like, if he's losing matches like the way
Lose,
Drew
loss after
McIntyre
loss
is
after
losing.
loss.
Yes, like he's losing even just with a roll up, so it's like it's not a beat down, but it's like, oh my god, it kind of like what they did with Sammy, where Sammy was losing matches and then you were like, okay, this dude is an underdog, right? So if we're trying to do that with Jay, then why wouldn't you have him lose some matches? Why? Because then you're doing the complete opposite with Gunther. You're having Gunther go out there, and yeah, I don't love that they're letting the guys get offense in on him, but he's beating them pretty well once they
No, he's
allow
doing
him
very
to
handle.
get to that
Yeah.
point. So like,
No,
why
that's
not have a contrast of that between them? Because otherwise, we're just going to keep getting Gunther out there fighting these random matches with mid carders, beating them, and then Jay coming out and saving them. What is that doing for the story?
Yeah.
Why do I don't
Dickie's
think it's
asking, how do you weaken him? I say this. Jay wrestles against Waller
okay.
next week. Waller wins.
Waller wins.
You
This is
need to have Waller win.
It's not weakening him. The thing, because this is the thing.
Weakening is a bad word. I'm with
Yeah,
you.
it's making him a more believable underdog. He doesn't have to lose every match. That's not what I'm saying. But it would be really good if he was doing more than backstage segments or running into the ring to help a team or whoever Gunther's against. That's not doing anything. Because again, why am I supposed to believe he's an underdog? If anything, he looks like he's gonna win because he has all the momentum behind him. He has the entire WWE universe behind him. He has the company behind him. He has an entire locker room that likes him. They don't necessarily believe that he can win, but they support him. Gunther has all the complete opposite. The only thing he's got on Jay is that he's a better wrestler and he's like the champion. That doesn't mean that you're the underdog just because you're the person challenging him. Like the last match we saw him in was the Rumble. He beat John Cena. He eliminated John Cena. How is that an underdog?
Oh,
you know what I'm saying?
By the way, I okay, no, I agree with, like, no, he eliminated John Cena not in a dominating way.
I'm not
he
saying
won
that, but
in like a yeah.
The way that he's going to be remembered when we look back on Royal Rumble, he's going to be remembered by winning the Royal Rumble by eliminating Cena. People aren't going to look at why, how, who, what, when, where. Like, they're not going to think about that. It's going to be Jey Uso eliminated John Cena to win the Royal Rumble. That's what they're going to remember. Because that's how most people remember Royal Rumble winners anyway. So it's like, I don't know. That's just my thought. And I'm not trying to say weaken him. However, like, you guys, there's like 6.5 weeks left until Mania. This is what we're going to do every single week. Gunther's going to be out there busting his ass every week against whoever. And Jay's just going to keep going yeet backstage and doing nothing. Like, I don't know how that benefits their story at all or gets anybody, like, more people to be supportive of Jay. You know what I'm saying?
I do.
Like, I'm trying to explain it in a way that, like, huh?
I'm kind of with you. Like,
Okay. Well,
I'm with you in the sense that this has been a very dull build when you look at every other match being built up, even what's going on in the tag division. This is your world championship match. I love Jey Uso, and
Mm-hmm.
I love the crowd interaction. I love the promos that he cuts. They're really heartfelt, and they do show a deeper side to him that we did not get to see when he was in a tag team with his brother, or even the the man Jey Uso with Roman. During the pandemic era, the Thunderdome. I want to see some old school shit where he even teams up with the Alpha Academy, in some way, shape, or form. Maybe he tags with Otis or Tozawa and he goes up against Kaiser and Gunther.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you don't even have to go that obvious or that, teaming with an Alpha Academy or someone. What if Gunther just says, I know you can't beat me. I'm throwing Kaiser at you. And then
Mm-hmm.
Kaiser wins. And
Mm-hmm.
then he get next week promo battle of see you couldn't even beat my second hand.
Mm-hmm.
That might start some little tension between him and Kaiser too, which is great. We love when something like that branches off.
Mm-hmm.
But you have Jay say, having more deep promos and really getting the crowd on his side even more so. And then the last week before Mania, the go home show, you have Jay face Kaiser in like some stipulation match, whatever. I don't care. I'm not in the room. And you have Jay win there. And then you have Jay win. Like, if you're going to have Jay win at Mania, you do that.
Mm-hmm.
Just to give him some sort of more of a level up than what we're seeing right now.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing, and that's why I was suggesting like he loses these random matches that literally mean nothing. It's the same thing with Gunther beating Tozawa and Otis. What does that mean? It doesn't mean anything.
Mm-hmm.
You knew Gunther was going to beat both of them, so it's not really making him look like a more dominant guy. He didn't just beat
Correct.
the Undertaker and then the following week he beat John Cena. Like, it's not on
Yeah.
that level. So if Jay lost to a guy like that, why does that matter? Drew McIntyre is taking those losses too, and it's like, oh, but it's not anything bigger. He's just taking
Mm-hmm.
losses. So I just think they need to do something, because otherwise this is going to be a really terrible 6 weeks, because it's going to be dragging on. Like they need to do something, because I mean, they've already faced each other. Like, you have to do something to add some sort of spice to this story. Otherwise, it's like, okay, why do I care? How am I supposed to believe that this is competing for the main event of night one? It's not. It's not right now. That's for
No, it should
sure.
be, but it's definitely not. This is more of a kickoff the show type of match, to be honest.
Also, Trainer Red, are you Team Gunther? Because if you are, I completely understand what you're saying. I hate everything about this. I hate everything about what they're doing to my mans. But
Yeah,
I'm
you're
I'm
not a
saving
fan
that
of
for
this.
another day, because I could complain about that every week, and you guys would just tell me how annoying I am. So, okay, cool. Yeah, see, we're buddies. We're buddies. If you don't follow me on Twitter, make sure you do, because I bitch and moan about this every single week. So,
All the time.
yeah.
All the time.
Um, but still, you know what? The moan. I,
It really is. I hate
I'm
to break
sorry
it. It really
that, and
is.
I said this how many weeks ago, and you guys were trying to tell me
A
that I was
lot.
wrong. So
Well, I gave it hope, Sarah.
I
All
said
right.
that it was just
Sorry for giving it hope.
because I said it was a recycled storyline, and people were telling me that I was wrong. But also, I don't think that like having a fun celebration is worthy of somebody winning. But if I don't want to have that conversation again, because whatever. Anyway, so Mr. AJ Styles, who just let us know that he wants to retire before he's 50, he will be 48 this year, which I'm like, how? He was a part of a backstage segment, and he said that he will be calling out Logan Paul next week, which I am not happy about this, because I don't know how I feel about AJ Styles versus Logan Paul at WrestleMania. That's all I could think about. That's it. Like, I
Um,
I
I
want
I
AJ
don't.
Styles on the card. If this is the way to get AJ Styles on the card, that's great. But I don't know. I kind of had higher hopes for his Mania match, because I feel like his match with LA Knight last year wasn't bad, and I felt like it had a lot of potential. Like, their story was pretty entertaining, like LA Knight going to his house and stuff like that. But I don't know. I felt like having AJ back this year, I was just kind of hoping he would be maybe like somebody in the Intercontinental title picture, or I don't know, have it be facing a bigger like legitimate name in wrestling than Logan Paul. But if this is what it is, I guess I can just be excited that AJ is going to be performing.
At WrestleMania 35, AJ Styles faced Shane McMahon in a one-on-one match. And to a lot of people's surprise, that match was a banger. AJ Styles knows how to have banger matches. Yes, it is frustrating that we're not going to see him fighting for a title or even seeing, Bullet Club member versus Bullet Club member against, that match against Finn. But the match that he is going to have with Logan Paul will be good.
Oh yeah.
It's going to be one of those matches where AJ Styles wants to get into the ring with the next generation to see if he can hang. And a lot of what Logan does is very similar to what AJ did in TNA. There's a lot of, high flying, springboard type stuff. Logan was an amateur wrestler, so you're going to have the mat stuff as well.
Mm-hmm.
This is a match that potentially could be a sleeper or dark horse for most underrated match of the night. And the fact that we're getting it at WrestleMania, it gives a big feel. With AJ, I haven't listened to the interview yet because I wasn't in my car a lot today. But the interview he had with CVV, he talks a lot about the end is near for him. So if he's going to have matches with guys like Logan Paul, I'm here for it.
Well, and maybe next year's Mania will be like his last, because if he wants to retire before 50, he'll be 49 next year. So like that could be a bigger match maybe.
And he can whatchamacallit, choose his opponent.
Yeah. And I mean, we don't know for sure if this is what the Mania match is going to be, of course, but it just feels like, okay, he's just calling him out next week. So that feels like this is inevitably going to be that. Because again, Logan Paul is going to be at WrestleMania. Like Logan Paul is more guaranteed on the WrestleMania card than AJ Styles is. So if they're trying to get AJ on the card, giving Logan to him might make the most sense at this point, because Logan is kind of just like doing whatever right now. Like they just throw him into any situation. They're like, all right, like just go from here. So that's just what it seems like. Especially because the Intercontinental title seems like it's going to be something entirely different. So
something entirely different.
But I also want go ahead.
Kevin was right that it is 33. I just remember Orlando. The book Globe, that sick entrance stage. So you're right. 35 was Becky main event.
Oh yeah. Becky 2 belts.
That was 35. Yes, I get those numbers confused because they stopped doing numbers. Vince hated the numbers.
I know.
He thought it was getting old.
No,
just like
it's
look
the Super Bowl. It's like the Super Bowl.
Exactly. Who cares if there's 100 Super Bowls? That makes it more historic.
I appreciate that, Dylan. And Bernard said I was not lying. Yeah, I get attacked all the time.
Oh, Bernard.
It is fine if they want 60,000 people yeeting, but that doesn't mean that he should be world heavyweight champion. They're also going to get 60,000 people yeeting when he comes out. So I don't think we necessarily need to see it a second time. Final Boss thinks that I need a defender. Yes, it's not. You know what? Actually,
I can't do it alone, guys. All right, like
you don't ever go in there and defend.
I defend you
on here, but not on Twitter. You're never jumping in and being like, blah blah blah.
Here's the thing: you gotta pop up on you're not popping up on my feed when these instances are happening.
You would
I'm
think
getting
that
your Patriot stuff and checking that.
You would think that I say stuff that's like so controversial though. Like I had two people. I had two people tell me to like fuck off and to like kill myself basically, because I said that unfortunately Jay was going to win at Mania. Because somebody was like, oh, he's never going to win at Mania. Like, too bad he's not going to win. And I'm like, he is though. And like, unfortunately. And then people were coming after me for that. Like, you would think that I said something terrible, and that's all I said. So that's just where I'm at. I love Gunther too, so you're in good company here.
We love Gunther here.
Oh, we're gonna talk about the IC title match. Don't you worry. Don't you worry.
Oh, it's here.
Thank you, Nathaniel. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I try to. This is why I say sometimes I don't want to talk about wrestling on Twitter because that's the kind of response that I get. I mean, I was just on a podcast about football, and I had somebody telling me that clearly I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't understand football. Whatever. It's like that's just the response I get. But yeah, anyway, moving on to, I wanted to talk about this too because this was a little bit a part of AJ Styles, and because we are big fans of him in this stream yard.
This was awesome. This was so good.
I will have to say one thing. I was not a fan of the like super straight hair on Carrion. I was like, it's a little too straight right now because it reminded me of it was like too flat iron.
It was very like punk emo.
Yeah, I was like, that's a little too much. But I'm kind of surprised at like how I don't know. I don't hate the hair on him because I mean we have to remember when we were first introduced to him from NXT, he was bald. Then he started growing he grew his hair out when he was gone, and then he came back, and we were like, oh, this is weird. And now his hair is just like magically to his shoulders, and you're like, what is happening? But it like fits the vibe. So I'm like, I'm here for it. And this segment with him and AJ and I don't know, like he's literally just involved in everybody's business, which I'm excited about because I feel like this might inevitably lead to him being at Mania in some capacity because he's trying to mingle in everybody's business, and it's all for the same reason too. So I don't know. I saw a lot of love for him after this. People were like, oh my gosh, that was so funny. Oh, carrying across this. And I'm like I said, we're going to say this every time we talk about welcome aboard.
Yeah.
Welcome aboard.
Carrying across. I saw a narrative. I saw something today that Karrion Kross is basically the narrator of the WWE right now because he's had a hand in everything.
Mm-hmm.
Going back to what he said about Cena back in like November, I think. So this post, Road to WrestleMania is just being narrated by Karrion Kross of the Dark Side, which I'm here for. He's been a fantastic narrator because he has a hand in everything. He's the reason why people have gone off the deep end and embraced their darkness.
Well, and that's the thing is like this character, we've said it, but I think we just keep getting more examples of it and proven right is that it just fits him so well. Like he's not on screen much. We don't see him a whole lot. He's not the most exciting guy in the ring, which I saw you guys saying in the chat. We're not arguing that. However, what he's doing, I would say, is some of his best work aside from probably that like solid NXT run that he had. Obviously, once he got brought up, it was a complete disaster, but that was more Vince than anything else. But yeah, I'm intrigued. Basically, I'm intrigued to see what this might be because he was getting involved in AJ Styles, so we'll have to see how that kind of like transpires, I guess.
Maybe he embraces his evil ways.
Maybe. I don't know. Then we move on to Lyra Valkyria is doing work, y'all, because she defended the women's IC title 2 weeks in a row, and not against like scrub competition either. This week it was Ivy Nile, and I would say it was mostly a banger. I say mostly because, there was like that one mess up spot or whatever, and it's possible that Ivy legitimately like hurt Lyra when she like almost broke her leg. So that's why I say mostly a banger. So I was happy for Lyra mostly because when we were talking about how many women's matches could be at Mania, we completely whiffed on the women's IC title and the women's US title. Those feel like they should be at Mania because if you're trying to treat them like they are legitimate championships that women want to go for, it feels like a great way to do that by having them in matches at Mania. And I think it's possible. We'll have to see. It might not happen because that's why they're forcing these back-to-back weeks of title defenses for Lyra. But I'm happy to see that the title is being featured and that Lyra and the other girls that she's going against are being given time to show like exactly why they're in that position and why they're vying for a mid-card title.
Yeah, and it's a good way to build up the mid-card women's division. Getting these girls on screen in the ring who aren't getting the time they deserve. Dakota Kai deserves to be fighting for a championship. She is that good.
Yeah.
And over it's a good division. Maybe we do something with them at Mania. They need to be highlighted. I just do not see I don't know how they would do it. I know that someone in the chat here just said something about Meechin and Chelsea Green on Friday, which
yeah, they kind of are doing that too. Like an extension of Mania is on SmackDown. It's just not the same.
But back they're doing that. No, they're doing what I'm saying is Chelsea and Meechin. That's been ongoing for like months now. You have Ivy fighting off both. I mean, Lyra fighting off both Ivy and Dakota. That's just what feuds are. All right, they're going to last a long time. It hits different now because we're in an era where we need that immediate gratification. We can't let things properly breathe. Whereas when we were watching wrestling, when there was no social media, you weren't saying this stuff all that much because there was still so much left to be told, and you didn't have the opinions of others to influence that.
Well, and I think I saw some people mentioning online too that it's possible we get Lyra versus Becky at Mania. Of course, that means Becky has to return fairly soon because obviously they're not going to have her return like a week before Mania and then be like, oh yeah, her versus Lyra. But if I had to choose, if I had to choose what I think is going to happen, if Becky does not come back, I really wouldn't be surprised if we get the Women's United States title defended at Mania and this defended like on the Go Home Raw or the Go Home SmackDown. Just because I feel like if we're talking about like entertainment value, I feel like they would say Chelsea Green is going to be at Mania, just because of who she is.
You need to have Chelsea Green at WrestleMania.
Ideally, and I'm sure you would agree, ideally, both of these titles would be defended at Mania. Like
ideally, yes.
Yes, especially when there's 2 nights, it feels like there's really no excuse for them to be scrapping women's titles matches, especially when they have, it's not just the WWE and the World Heavyweight titles being defended. No, the Intercontinental title is defended at Mania. Sometimes it's the US title. So sometimes it's the tag team titles. It's like, but it's always the women that get pushed to the back burner. And I would like to get to a point where that's not the case, but we'll see. And I know we have a ton of comments. We'll come back to them after this. Because we have already talked about the IC title and you guys have mentioned it in there, I feel like it's confirmed we are getting a multi-man match for the Intercontinental Championship at Mania. And my guess is it's going to be a 6-man. I think it's going to be Braun Breaker, Finn Balor, Dominic Mysterio, Ludwig Kaiser, and Penta. Potentially swap out Dom or Finn.
That's 5.
Oh, Pete Tunay.
P would be 6.
Okay, so those are my guesses. And I'm here for it, honestly, because I think they're gonna want Penta at Mania. Come on, the entrance alone. If we're talking about they want certain entrances or celebrations at Mania, Penta needs to be at Mania. And they have so many guys in the mix for the Intercontinental Championship right now, so it doesn't feel like there's going to be any way that would make sense for them to narrow down the pool of people for Braun Breaker to go against. It feels like, no, they're going to have all of these guys in that match. And honestly, could you think about a better group of dudes going for that title?
No, I can't. To legitimize it like Gunther did? No, I cannot. It's great. It's fantastic.
Yeah. I'm excited about it. And part of me was saying, like, that's why I'm like Finn and Dom being in the match, but clearly there's issues there. So that's why it feels like it makes sense if they were both in it. And maybe that's the start of them feuding or kicking Finn out. I don't know. But yeah, I think it's inevitable. Oh, Sheamus.
We're missing him. We're missing
Okay.
him.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think there are people that who can swap, but I don't think they'll do more than 6. So you think they could go to 8?
No,
I
I'm
just
trying to think
that's
if
too
I'm
many.
trying to wrestle with the fact that you could take out Finn or Dom.
I think it would have to be Dom. Finn just called out Braun to his face.
Yeah, you can't. You can't. No, it's got to be Dom. I want Dom in a championship match so bad at WrestleMania.
So you don't want
especially
Finn
with
in
how
it.
it's. But I do.
I mean, I
like
guess
I
they
hate.
could.
I want both, Sarah. I
Well,
want
because Finn
both.
wasn't on the card last year.
He
So
wasn't.
Dom wasn't either, but
Yes, he was.
Was he? Tag
Yeah, it was
title?
when the Kelsey brothers came out.
Oh, whatever. Yeah,
Dude,
so
yeah.
I don't know. I think that 6 is like the sweet spot. I think anything more than that is like too much,
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess Sheamus would be in there, and if they want Sheamus to win, especially.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's gonna be
too
kind of
much.
complicated because I feel like there's a lot of guys that they can put in, and I don't know. Okay, one more thing and then we'll get to comments. I already saw somebody mention it. So Ray Phoenix, this has nothing to do with Raw, but I think it's worthy of being talked about because it is being reported that he has been removed from the roster page of AEW. And the belief right now in the chatter suggests that yes, he is on his way to WWE and they're already working on merch ideas. So what I'm so conflicted on how I want this to happen. And I think we kind of touched on it before when we were talking about, okay, obviously you assume he's going to get to WWE at one point or another. We just didn't know when. I think it's coming a lot sooner than anybody thought because there was all these reports coming out about how long his contract was going through and that Tony was basically keeping him hostage and like not letting him get out of the contract because he was injured, blah, blah, blah. So you just assumed, okay, this isn't happening for a while. But now that it looks like it's going to, I am kind of unsure if I want him to be introduced and immediately paired with Penta. Like, I kind of don't want that to happen. I want that to maybe be like, oh, they can kind of explore the Lucha Brothers. But I still feel like they need to establish at least Penta because I have no idea what they're going to do with Ray and I can't speculate because we haven't even seen him yet. But it feels like they've been wanting to make Penta a singles guy. And I want them to keep doing that, especially if we're talking about how involved he is in the intercontinental title scene. It doesn't make sense to bring Ray Phoenix in before Mania to just tag with Penta and then take him out of that. So I kind of hope that if they do plan for him to come before Mania, that's not what they're gonna do. I really would hope that they will continue what they're doing with Penta instead.
Yeah, they need to have them be an alliance more than a tag team. And there is a difference there. With the alliance, they can still be singles competitors, similar to New Day when Kofi and Big E had their runs.
Hardy
whatnot.
Boys when they
Hardy Boys, when they parted, but there was so to me, Ray Phoenix joining WWE is more of a win just for the wrestling community and the business overall. And launching him into the tag picture at the moment, yes, it's nice, but you have to realize that we're not going to see Lucha Brothers versus Motor City Machine Guns because Penta's on Raw. That's the easiest. Like they want to make Penta a star. They want to, launch him into some sort of title picture. So it's gonna have to wait. But
what if they
be
do
patient.
what they've done with Penta with Ray on SmackDown? I mean, so what I'm saying is the way that they've they kind of hyped up Penta's debut and then they've just gone full blown of okay, let's have him have these killer matches, let's get him in the intercontinental title scene. Kind of do the same thing with Ray. So they're introducing him as They can still say, "Oh, this is Penta's brother. They're known for, being a
Oh,
tag team, blah
absolutely.
blah blah."
Me too.
But they bring him in as like a singles guy. Maybe they get him into the US title scene. And then eventually, maybe in the draft, when the draft comes up in like May, maybe then you can have them on the same show and then kind of play with the idea of them being a tag team. If Penta doesn't win, obviously, or he doesn't win. But that might be a good way, because then that's still establishing them on their own, but
Yeah, it
like
is.
still acknowledging, like, yeah, no, they're brothers and they're a well-known tag team, but we're giving them their own identities first, which is kind of what we talked about before anyway. We were like, okay, it would be kind of cool if they could do that, so that they're not pigeonholed in most people's brains as a tag team and then making it this big deal that they broke up, because that's what they always do. This is better, I feel like, if they're established on as their own people, and then they come together, because then when they go off and do their own thing again, it's not like this big dramatic thing.
Yeah, I'm with you. I like that idea.
We'll have to see, but yeah.
Oh.
Okay, we're gonna get to comments, but
Oh.
go ahead.
No, you say it, because we're
Okay,
thinking the same thing.
Unhinged main event, Fro. Thank you so much for the $5. We appreciate you. He says, with Liv
Love
and
it, thank
Raquel
you.
having the titles, they will face Bliss and Cross. Judgment Day may go against the Wyatt Six, and that's where the extra guy comes in. Yeah, I actually was just thinking about this when I was like, oh, okay, the women's tag titles feels like they could be defended at Mania. And I do like this because of obviously that moment between Alexa and Liv at Elimination Chamber. It makes sense for it to be her and Nikki, since they've kind of already teased her being in the Wyatt Six as well. So this would be a cool way. And imagine a Wyatt Six entrance at WrestleMania.
Oh,
like, I know that people aren't
electric.
like super thrilled with the Wyatt Six with that kind of entrance at Mania. Come on now.
No, that would slap. That would slap very hard, Sarah.
Yes,
it would slap very hard.
I Cross and Scarlett had the best entrance. I'm telling you, I love their entrances. The way that they have come up with their entrances, it's like incredible to me, because when they were doing that, when they first came back and they were doing that entrance or whatever, it was great. And then when they did the Final Testament thing, still fire entrance. Fire.
Yeah, they
know
nail the entrances really
they
well.
really do. And that they are believed in behind the scenes, because they don't just make you black and white for they don't do that for anybody.
Oh yeah, they don't. Yeah,
it's the same thing with like Naomi. They don't turn the lights off for anybody. They don't have a black light for anybody. That's not something that they do. So yeah. Nathaniel thinks that Becky returns next Monday. It is definitely possible. Like I said, I think that she has to return pretty soon if they want to build something up like legitimately for her for Mania. I would be genuinely shocked if she missed Mania. And if she does, I would be kind of sad, because it makes me feel like she's not coming back.
She's not coming back anytime soon. I know that.
Well,
because she's been working on a lot of Hollywood type stuff. So
yeah. Tom says, does Becky challenge Lyra for the belt at Mania? I would love to see it. I would love to see it too. I think that would be a great match. They had a great match in NXT for the NXT women's title. So, it'd be a banger. Richard thinks that Becky will return after Mania. And he also thinks Chelsea misses. I just think that if they picked between her and Lyra, it just feels like the entertainment
you have to
value
pick Chelsea. I love you, Lyra, but you have to pick Chelsea. You need to have Chelsea Green at WrestleMania in Las Vegas. Come on.
Yeah. I also don't hate this idea. If Dom is in the IC title match, they should have him win. It'd be pretty sick. We've been saying this for so long, since he won the North American title and then he lost it. We were like, dude needs another title.
Yes, he does, Sarah.
Yeah, bring that heat. Especially if we believe that there is going to be more drama with the Judgment Day, that they're going to want to add another member, or they might be kicking out Finn. What is a better way to do that than having everybody with gold except for Finn? I mean, no one cares if Carlito has gold or not. Let's be real. But like, you know what I mean? Like, that would be quite a FU to.
It
Finn.
would be. I want to put this into the ether, because I texted you this and NXT is on. But if Aleister Black or Malachi Black returns tonight, off of my observation of NXT posting his match versus Andrade on their story with a link to it. I want a pat on the back. I want acknowledgement. That's all I'm asking.
Everybody, so Dylan and Final Boss really like Unhinged Main Event Fro's idea, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, here we go. just why do you gotta be a hater? Okay? Why do we gotta be a hater? Anyway, I don't have a whole lot to say about this, but I thought, I don't know, maybe you do. We did see a long video package of Chad Gable looking like
It
he
was
was like
awesome.
committing
He was
crime.
roaming the streets of Mexico. It was awesome.
I know. It was just funny. It was like he's doing a drug deal, but there's a camera there.
It did look like a drug deal. And when you had the old man, I thought that was going to be a reveal of somebody.
Mm-hmm.
It obviously wasn't. Like, I was waiting for that to be Aleister Black, in all honesty. And when he just hands him the box, my immediate thought went to the Vine of what's in the box. Like, what's in the, and I just start dying laughing. Not what's a dick in a box?
It's my dick in a box. It's Dickie Starks.
It's Dickie Starks. Like, I did LOL because he just handed him a box and he just like and my immediate thought was, holy shit, Chad Gable's returning with a luchador mask. That was just my first reaction. Is that we're gonna see a luchador Chad Gable. We might see Chad Gable come back and he's, like Senor Americano.
Yeah. I'm here for it though, honestly. I don't really know where that storyline is going. I felt like it was very random when he was like, I'm going to go learn how to be a luchador. And you're like, what? Like, what? People had even said this, and I don't know how they would get there, but I thought it was interesting of Chad Gable and Logan Paul versus the Lucha Brothers at Mania. I thought that would be kind of interesting. Again, I don't know how they get there, but I was entertained at the idea because, yeah. But I don't know. We're going to have to keep seeing this and where it goes, because I honestly I have no idea. I couldn't tell you a single thing. But what I could tell you is the War Raiders versus American Made was iconic. Okay.
It was very good. It was a very good match.
I always get so frustrated with the crowds when there's a War Raiders match on because they get virtually no reaction when they come out. But by the end of that match, we have already heard the oohs, the ahs, the this is awesome, the holy shits. And I'm like, guys, that's what you need to expect when these men come out. I'm not saying go crazy the way that you do when Jey Uso comes out, but can you have a little bit of excitement because you know what you're going to be getting out of the War Raiders?
Like maybe a woo or two.
I know.
Come on.
Right?
God, support.
And I felt like this was it was a great tag team match, but I think that it was good for both of them because we haven't seen a whole lot of the Creed brothers really since American Made was created. Like they just are not in the same position as a tag team the way that they were being featured nearly every single week in NXT. So I felt like this was a really good showing for them, but also it's about damn time that they have the War Raiders on TV and doing something because, again, they won the tag titles from the Judgment Day and haven't done like shit since. And I'm like, why do we do this? Like, it was such a huge moment for them to take the titles off of Judgment Day, and then you're just like keep them in the back or not. You kind of almost forget that they were the champions because you don't see them. So I was happy for them, and Ivar's incredible. Shout out Eric, but Ivar.
No, both of them are absolutely insane in the ring. The shit that they're doing for big men. I still can't get over Ivar doing a cartwheel.
I know.
So seamlessly. So smooth.
You know what is the craziest thing about it is not even just his size, because obviously when you see a man that size, you're like, yeah, this guy doesn't do gymnastics, What I think is more crazy is there are people that are like a quarter of his size that are too scared to do a cartwheel or like to practice, to like learn how to do one. This dude has been a bigger dude for I think most of his adult life, and he's learned like all of this stuff. And I'm like, if this guy can do it, then we all can. right?
I
Um,
mean, I think so. I would like to think so.
and I love that about him too, because when you look at him, you don't expect that kind of stuff from him. You just expect him to be like a dominant, strong figure in the ring because of his size. And then this dude's whipping out cartwheels and backflips, and it's like, okay. So shout out War Raiders, shout out Ivar, shout out the hometown hero,
I know
Ivar.
Bostonian.
I
I sat
know,
next to his parents at some SmackDown taping once.
I
That was pretty
know.
cool.
Yeah. Um, I don't know what to say about this other than
I only have one thing to say. It's the only thing I have to say. It was my gut
okay.
reaction during
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
I love that we're making or giving Ray time to cut these types of promos because he is good. He's very good at it, veteran, all that shit. What I didn't like about it was the fact that we're hyping up a tornado tag
Yeah.
like an Extreme Rules match.
Yeah. Well,
And I understand why it's a numbers game and they're trying to play that factor or play that into the cards,
mhm.
which to me seems that they're going to add another member of their own. And the only person that comes to mind is Omos.
Mhm.
The only thing that I got from this was that Omos is coming back and aligning himself with the New Day. Awesome. I'm
I
here
don't
for it.
hate that. But I still wish that they would bring him back and him just be like a giant teddy bear. Because we
I don't
all
want to
know
see a
that
teddy bear yet.
No, I know. I just mean event like at some point, because everybody knows that he's like the nicest guy ever. So it would be kind of nice if he could just be that. But obviously because of his stature, he's intimidating. You know what I mean? So I would assume that they would bring him back in a role like that anyway. So I wouldn't expect them to bring him back and just like be himself. But I mean, I guess what I can say is I liked the vibe of the video promo. I like that we got to hear from all of them
It was
and
nice. That was
that
nice.
it was a more serious tone than the typical like excited and happy and positive LWO. Like they're getting serious. And I think that this is a feud that warrants that. Like it makes sense. So I don't know. I think it's interesting to see what that's going to do, especially going against the New Day or the old day. I don't know.
The new day.
Yeah. So perhaps the biggest moment of the night, I would say, was the main event. And first of all, I want to give credit to the women's division on Raw because, girl, we had back-to-back episodes of Raw with women's main events that were absolute bangers. Okay, so shout out y'all, because some people don't think that women should be main eventing wrestling.
What?
I know. Can you believe it?
In this day and age?
I know.
Like,
But
like what?
I know those people are crazy.
Bullshit.
The talent that women have right now in professional wrestling, there's absolutely no reason for you to be saying that. And I think that the last 2 weeks proved that, right? And Io Sky versus Rhea Ripley, everybody knew was going to be great because of the women involved.
I was seated.
Yes. But I don't think there was a single person on planet Earth or even in just the WWE universe that believed Io Sky had a shot in hell to win this title on Raw.
Not a chance.
And you can tell that was the unanimous feeling when you watch the 1, 2, 3 and you look at the audience. There were people grabbing their heads because they couldn't believe it. There were people jumping up and down, grown ass men jumping up and down in excitement because and that shows you just how unpredictable this was, because it wasn't just, we don't see title changes that often on Raw and SmackDown anymore, which I think needs to change, by the way. I don't think we should only be seeing title changes at PLEs. I hate that rule. And I know that was something that Vince believed in, at least at one point. But I think that this is an unpredictability factor that is why we love to watch wrestling. It's like just like at Elimination Chamber, nobody thought that John Cena was going to going to be that guy for The Rock. Nobody thought Io Sky was going to win, especially this close to Mania. And of course, we also believe that this is going to lead to a triple threat. But before we get there, I want to get your
Yeah,
thoughts.
my thoughts are that I obviously did not expect it. I didn't expect this at all. But I was really keeping a close attention on the end of the match
Mm-hmm.
and the build towards the finish. I thought was done very well. And
Yes.
my one note that I wrote here
Mm-hmm.
is that when Bianca is cheering Io on to get her
Mm-hmm.
back in the ring, I love that move. I loved when they did that. And then
Heelish.
you have, but like, kind of, not really.
It
To me,
depends
it
on how
just
you.
felt like it was Bianca. It was like Bianca was just like, I want the best.
I
I want the best person to face. I don't care who I get. Like, I want this fair. I don't want some bullshit
I
to
think
get in the way.
it depends on how you interpret it, because also we didn't get to see if she was going to do the same thing for Rhea. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
exactly.
And I
I
think
am
it's just the
assuming she did.
context of like what has been going on with Bianca that makes you
So
be like,
yeah, exactly. So
hmm.
spirals. And then you have Rhea come out and start pushing her and getting in the midst. And everyone's online is saying, why didn't they call a DQ? The answer was in front of you. Jessica Carr came out and said, hey, no, we're not doing this.
Hmm.
You sit there, you get back in the ring. The reason why we didn't get a DQ is because the match means something.
Hmm.
It has serious implications for a major show. This isn't some throwaway championship match that
Hmm.
the next week you can just be like, all right, well, we're going to do it again and no DQs or no one can be at ringside. No, it was the referee putting down her foot and saying, get your ass on in that chair at ringside, get your ass back in the ring, and let's finish this match and get a winner. We don't see any of that from referees anymore,
Hmm. You know,
especially women referees. And that's why I believe Jessica Carr is on in that top tier of referees, period.
you could also argue, I would say, Rhea Rhea pushed first.
Yeah,
So
which
does
also,
Bianca warrant a disqualification just by reacting to
no,
being
she's
assaulted?
reacting.
You know what I mean?
Correct.
Like, she was pushed, so she pushed back. I think
That's
that
why she
like,
got out of the ring. And that's why
but
she's like, all right, I know
yeah,
Bianca's not like, no, we're getting a winner.
I think it also it's going to be a part of the match that I think that people are going to argue about, right? Like whether or not it should have been a DQ or it shouldn't have, whatever. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but I think that it ultimately is going to be the reason why we get a triple threat for the women's world title at WrestleMania. It's going to be Io Sky versus Rhea Ripley versus Bianca Belair. Like, that just feels inevitable, because why was Bianca so involved?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
And
why was she
mm-hmm.
wanting Rhea to see her cheering for Io? Why did she have to watch the match
Well, there's a
ringside? She
deeper
didn't
story
have
there.
to, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And then we have the lingering story of whatever's going on with Jade and Naomi.
I
So
know.
it feels like, okay, well, much like how Rhea is the reason why Io, didn't win the qualifying match, Bianca is like the reason why Rhea didn't retain. And so it feels like all of these things are coming together, and I'm excited about the possibility of this being a triple threat. Like, this is what I was saying earlier when we were talking about there's going to be a lot of matches competing for the main event spot of night one, and that would certainly be one of them.
That's my night one main event, hands down.
Mm-hmm.
I sensed something was off
Mm-hmm.
when Rhea got back in the ring, put Io up for the ultimate,
That's when you know
and she said, "I'll see you at WrestleMania." I went, "Oh,
it's over.
I don't like this.
I know.
This is weird." And for the reversal into the moonsault,
Mm-hmm.
the 3 count, I was genuinely shocked.
Me
I
too.
really did not expect that to happen.
I didn't
And
expect a swerve like that after what we just had
no,
either.
I didn't. I didn't
Yeah.
expect to swerve when I drive. I didn't at all. And did you get a chance to watch the promo
I haven't
and
yet.
interview,
Good.
that
No.
is it, everything you're saying about the triple threat inevitable and like it basically hammers it home or at least leads us down that road even more.
Mm-hmm.
One, Jackie Redmond, hell of a job in the interview, but two, Rhea giving a softer side to her, a more vulnerable side of I let my emotions get the best of me,
A humble
and
side,
I took a very humble side
because
of
that
mommy.
seemed like it was her ego, her arrogance, her overconfidence that got in the way.
Yes. So how do we get a triple threat though? Logistically, like how do we get that triple threat? Does Rhea just say, "Well, I'm enacting my rematch clause at WrestleMania"?
Well, she technically has somewhat of an argument, right? Because Bianca did lay hands on her too. Even if she was the instigator, she could claim Bianca was, because Bianca got involved by cheering on Io, which distracted her, and then they kind of like went back and forth.
Mhm.
I don't know. And I think that's part of what is going to make it a little bit more interesting than what you would expect between a Mania buildup for this, because there is history obviously between Bianca and Io. We know because we were begging for it to end. But that is a year ago at least. And so
Yes.
like this is really, I mean, it's the Elimination Chamber winner versus the newly crowned Women's World Champion winner. So it's like that. There's not like beef there. It's like with a Rumble winner. The Rumble winner doesn't always make sense with who they eventually choose to face at WrestleMania. So I don't know how they get there. But I'm intrigued to see how, because again, we were talking about people who are going to be left off Mania and who's not. Rhea Ripley is not going to be sitting on her ass at WrestleMania. So she'll be in
Oh.
this match probably in one way or another. How they get there, I don't know, but I'm
Yeah, I
excited to
don't.
see.
I'm excited to see how they do this because they have a lot of different avenues they can go down.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really hoping the Rhea just enacting her rematch clause isn't the blanket to be
Yeah.
the fix.
Yeah.
Maybe it's next week Io and Rhea face off, or maybe Bianca and Rhea. I don't know. There's so many avenues that you can go down, and I'm just very happy that uh, I'm not in the. I mean, I'm jealous. I'm jealous. I'm not in the writers' room, obviously, but
Yeah. No, I get what you
um,
mean. Like you don't have to be the one to decide.
I don't want to. Yeah, I want to sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Well, and
I
I
don't want to
think that
be in the room where it happens.
they need to figure out a way to make it. I mean, I know I use this word, but I hope you know what I'm saying. Like they need to make this like a spicier build up, because as of right now, it's 3 baby faces potentially in a triple threat. Like there needs to be some sort of like
Whoa.
something to like make this shake it up a little bit, because who do people choose to root for? Who do we hate? Who do we want to win? Like there needs to be something to kind of help
I don't know.
us decide, because as great as that match will be between the 3 of them, presumably,
Mhm.
obviously watching professional wrestling from a business perspective, it's best for business if you have someone to cheer for and somebody to boo. And in this case, there's no one to boo other than, oh, I want Rhea to win, so I guess I'll kind of boo Io and Bianca, but I still love them. Like that's not what you would think that they would want from a match of this caliber. And that's the thing, is we could see the shift of Bianca turning heel, because there's, like I said, the lingering thing with Jade.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
or I mean, she seems like the most likely one, I guess. Especially after that promo that you were talking about with Rhea, like it doesn't seem like that's likely. It doesn't seem like it's likely with Io either. So I don't know. We'll have to wait and see, unfortunately. Fortunately and unfortunately, I guess. Um,
Unfortunately,
Oh, interesting. Jackson said, "Did you know that Rhea has never beaten Io in a one-on-one match?"
I
I
did
feel
see
like
that.
I knew that, but I didn't know that. You know? Um,
I saw that a couple times today.
yeah, it's like I knew it, but I didn't know it. Um, Final Boss says, I would not mind Io winning by pinning Bianca and they build Rhea versus Io up for SummerSlam or Rhea finally beats her. That's not a bad idea if they are going to. But that's the thing. Where is Rhea? What does Rhea do at Mania? That's the only thing I would ask.
Yeah, like, hey, come on.
Tom says they will use that shove for storyline and Rhea will complain that this was a DQ and this is how we get a triple threat. Yeah, I think that's the easiest thing. And again, it's like such an old trick that they use in WWE to just kind of like explain things that don't necessarily make sense.
Yeah,
but it works.
It is lazy. It can be came off as lazy. Could come off as lazy.
This too, Dylan says, I think Io agrees out of respect since Rhea gave her that title shot. That is true. Rhea did not have to do that. Io could return the favor. And that would piss off Bianca. Right.
It would.
You think it's going to end at Mania? I don't know.
No, I don't. I think we see Rhea Bianca for a while. I think we get the tease now.
Well,
and then this ends up being
though.
Correct. That's why you play long game, and then WrestleMania 42 in New Orleans, you have Rhea versus Bianca.
Interesting. You know what? I know, but we haven't been told that yet. You know what I'm saying?
Guys.
I mean, she wasn't acting super sympathetic on Raw.
No, she was not. No, she was no. Good observation.
Yeah, she was. She also was like all dressed up. She was. Remember? Did you see that too? When they first showed her, she was like on the phone and was like ah ha ha, ha with her sunglasses on, and then she like kissed the phone. I'm telling you,
metaphor girls.
Something is there.
What if we're getting metaphor girls?
Ooh.
Naomi, Bianca.
I don't know, man.
That'd be boss. Be very boss. But that was Raw.
Yes.
Oh, that was Raw.
That was Raw.
Yeah, that was a hell of a show. We got NXT on right now. Aleister Black or Malachi. I mean, I'm gonna say that we're probably gonna call him Malachi Black with how Sean Spears is now Sean Spears.
Mm-hmm. Is his real name Malachi?
I don't know that. I'm gonna look. I'm not that knowledgeable yet.
All right, let's look. No,
it takes time. It takes time to write encyclopedia.
His name is Tom.
Tom Black.
Tom
Black kind of hits.
That's not what it. His name is like Tom Budgen. I don't know how to pronounce it because he's from where's he from? He's not German. He's from the Netherlands.
Oh well, no, I said Dutchland and I meant Dutch, but Germany. Nonsense.
Wow, he was there for 4 years. Wow.
In NXT.
I didn't realize that. No, AEW. I didn't realize.
Oh, yeah, he was there a while because he was there with Cody.
2021. Mm-hmm.
He was there with Cody.
Crazy
really?
Times. Huh?
I think the back end of Cody.
Well, yeah, Cody left at the end of 2021. He left in December.
So the back end.
Oh, wait, no, he didn't leave in December, did he? Yes, he did. He December, January of 2022. Yeah.
He was also working at AEW with no contract.
Cody?
That's a fact.
Oh, yeah.
Towards the end, he was not working with a contract, which is crazy.
Yep. Crazy.
Fucking crazy. Jada Parker won. Maybe Aleister Black will come out now. But, while I go wait for that, you guys, so go subscribe. Hit that subscribe button and bell, little dingy button to know every time
bell
we
notification.
Go live. Bell notification to know every time we go live and post. We got shit cooking. All right. WWE 2K is coming out. I want to do some fun shit with that. We're on the road to WrestleMania. I mean, it's only getting better from here on out. We're only 40-something days, a little bit less than that before Sara and I are in Vegas and creating content for you peeps together and not via screen, via satellite.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good idea I just had. Maybe we should put via satellite on the bottom here. That'd be fun. That'd be funny. That'd be pretty funny. But while we think of those ideas and whatnot, do what I say and subscribe. Follow us on TikTok at 604 followers as we speak. No Nights Off Show. Go check us out. We post videos almost daily.
608.
And you get to see Sara. 608. We got 4 since we started recording. All right. So keep those numbers going. Be part of the movement and help me get out of the 9 to 5, please. So with that being said, thank you guys for tuning in. I'm going to go eat. God bless. And remember that you can do it. All you got to do is try. We'll see you on Thursday.